This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
United States President Barack Obama has arrived in Riyadh, where he was greeted by the Saudi monarch King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz. The talks between the Saudi monarch and the United States President Barack Obama will focus on key issues in the region, especially the peace process and the Iranian nuclear program. In addition, they will discuss economic issues such as the price of oil.
في مستهل الزيارة الأولى التي تقوده إلى منطقة الشرق الأوسط منذ انتخابه رئيسا للولايات.
On the eve of his speech to the Muslim world and in his first visit to the Middle East since his inauguration, U.S. President Barack Obama arrived in Saudi Arabia today. The talks between Barack Obama and the Saudi monarch King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz focused on bilateral relations between the two countries.
بين البلدين وسبل تعزيزها في مختلف المجالات إضافة إلى قضايا إقليمية ودولية ذات اهتمام مشترك.
The Obama visit also focused on several international and regional issues of common interest to both nations. Among the key issues under discussion are peace in the Middle East and the Arab Peace Initiative, which was unanimously approved by Arab leaders in the Beirut Summit of 2001. The two sides will also discuss other issues, such as those previously discussed on the sidelines of the G20 summit in the British capital of London.
العاصمة البريطانية لندن منها الملف النووي الإيراني وسبل تعزيز الجهود لمكافحة ظاهرة الإرهاب.
The two leaders are expected to discuss the Iranian nuclear program and the issue of counterterrorism. During his tour, which includes a visit to Egypt, Obama will seek to improve his country's relations with the Muslim world. Obama is scheduled to give a speech at Cairo University, where he will try to extend his hand to the world's Muslims. The U.S. president will also seek to improve the image of the U.S., which has been distorted as a result of the Iraq War, the treatment of prisoners in connection with the war on terror, and failing to make progress in Mideast peace talks. Salam Bu Asla, Al-Arabiya.
سليم بوعسلة العربية.
To follow up on the topic, we are joined by our correspondent in Riyadh, Khalid Al-Masifi. Khalid, as talks are expected to get underway, what are the key economic and political issues that will be discussed between the two leaders?
هناك ملف السياسي معروف أنه عملية السلام في الشرق الأوسط.
The political issues are known to us. They have to do with the peace process in the Middle East and the Iranian nuclear program. In addition to the issue of counterterrorism, the U.S. government is planning to hand over several Yemeni detainees to Saudi Arabia. The issue of Yemeni detainees, however, is still under discussion, as Saudi Arabia believes that all Yemeni detainees must be directly handed over to Yemen, and that Saudi Arabia has no jurisdiction over them. As far as the economic issue is concerned, the discussion will focus on oil prices. The U.S. is urging the Saudi kingdom to help level off oil prices while maintaining oil production at present levels, in accordance to global economic conditions. The kingdom has maintained a clear position, which it has reiterated in the OPEC summit. These issues are to be discussed in the meeting, which is expected to take place in the ranch of the custodian of the two noble sanctuaries in Jazeera. At 9 p.m. Saudi local time, the U.S. Secretary of State and Prince Saud Al Faisal are expected to hold a joint press conference. The press conference will focus on the U.S.-Saudi talks, which were also attended by the Saudi Foreign Minister and the second Vice President of the Council of Ministers, Nayef bin Abdulaziz.
The leader of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, accused the American President Barack Obama of following in the footsteps of his predecessor George Bush of antagonizing Muslims. In a copy of a voice recording that Al Jazeera was able to obtain, bin Laden said that his administration had sown new seeds of hatred of Americans, as many seeds as the number of displaced people in the Swat Valley.
Obama, with Zardari and his army, prevented the Swat Valley from implementing Sharia law through killing and fighting and shelling and destruction. This has led to the displacement of almost 1 million Muslims, men, women and children, from their villages and homes. They have become displaced refugees in camps after they were living in their homes in dignity. This simply means that Obama and his administration have sown new seeds of hatred and vengeance of America. The number of these seeds is equal to the number of those affected and displaced in the Swat Valley and the tribal regions in northern and southern Waziristan, as well as the number of those who sympathize with them. Therefore, Obama is following in the footsteps of his predecessor, increasing antagonism against Muslims and multiplying the numbers of enemies willing to fight the United States, paving the way for long wars to come. The American people should be prepared to reap the results of what the leaders of the White House have sown in the years and decades to come.
Bin Laden attacked the Pakistani and American presidents and accused them of displacing millions from the Swat Valley. He said that this will lead to an increase of feelings of hatred and animosity towards America.
I have words that I want to direct to America. Some of the wise there, such as those working in research and education centers, may understand the reasons that have compelled people to want to fight Americans and have vengeance on America. Not to mention the agents of large companies in the White House. I say that the free men who carried out the events of September 11 had not tasted the bitterness of oppression and expulsion from their homes and lands, nor were they sheltered in tents and deprived of sufficient food. Rather, the 19 heard about the injustice inflicted on their brothers in Palestine by Zionist hands and with American weapons. So they left their schools and universities at the first opportunity to support the oppressed and to punish the oppressors in America. What if they had tasted these tragedies and suffering?
Ahead of U.S. President Barack Obama's speech to the Muslim world in Cairo tomorrow, Egyptian opposition leaders and university students expressed their hope for change in U.S. Middle East policy. The venue for Obama's speech is Cairo University, where security forces have taken over the campus and slated examinations have been postponed. The campus has been a center of pro-democracy protests, as well as for students affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood.
The Islamic countries is destroyed now, due to the foolish policies of the previous administrations. If he stops this foolish policy and starts to build a new bridge between America and the people, not the regimes of the Islamic world, it will be a good step. And it will take time to achieve or change the promises from speech to actions. But we are waiting.
I want his words to be, not to be flowery words. I want his words to be action. I think all words of presidents are flowery words, sweet words. They always say promises and they don't carry out them.
I think the Muslim people want to hear a kind of reconsideration to the relationship between the United States and the Muslim world in general. a message that emphasizes on the mutual respect, on the dialogue between civilizations and cultures. They need to be assured that the United States and the Americans in general are not looking to the Muslims as terrorists or as fanatics or extremists.
Egyptian politicians and the educated class expressed their optimism over the greatly anticipated Obama speech. They called on Obama to make this speech the start of a new phase in American-Islamic relations.
All those who are anticipating Obama's speech expressed their hope that the speech will address Middle East issues, present visions, and their solutions, as well as work towards achieving peace and development.
As June 4th nears, the world and especially the Arab and Islamic world are anticipating the U.S. President Barack Obama's speech from Cairo. Analysts, politicians, and experts say this speech may be a new chapter in American-Islamic world relations after years of tension during the previous administration's term.
I expect that Obama's new administration will understand our issues in a just way, and that it will be less biased towards those who have nothing positive to offer to the Arab world.
The framework of American relations with the Islamic world will be in President Obama's speech. It will confirm America's vision and not discriminate on people anywhere in the world based on color, gender, creed, or religion.
Diplomats and politicians warned against being overly optimistic, considering the complexities of some of the issues and conflicts of the Middle East, mainly the Palestinian issue. The new U.S. administration has clearly demonstrated its desire to return to the negotiating table, which the last administration was absent from.
It must play a primary role in the Palestinian issue. The new administration is presenting the basic direction that it will adopt. There are some disappointing viewpoints that the past administration held on two issues: relations with the Islamic world and the Arab-Israeli conflict.
He is coming to reiterate what he said in his first speech after becoming president, that he is not an enemy to Islam. He is someone who wants dialogue and does not want to dictate to anyone. Thus, he wants to reconcile the United States with the rest of the world.
Despite the differences in opinion among politicians regarding the expectations of Obama's visit, there is agreement on the choice of Egypt as his podium, where the U.S. president will address the Islamic world. Egypt's Arab position in the region and its efforts to support peace as well as regional and international stability all contributed to this choice. Mohammed Atif, Egypt News.
The family of the prisoner Faiz Abdul Mahdi Zaidat renewed their pleas to human rights organizations for the release of their son, who is suffering from cancer and is in poor health. Additional details with our colleague Salem Abu Saleh.
The children of prisoner Faiz Ziadat are full of longing, tears, and prayers, hoping he will be released quickly. He is fighting death in the occupation's prison cells because he is suffering from cancer. Ziadat's family holds the occupation's authorities fully responsible for his life and has demanded for his immediate release.
Faiz is enduring a very difficult situation. When we found out the news in February, it was really hard on us. He was sick before, but his condition worsened as a result of hateful Zionist medical negligence. They tried several times to kill him, but they weren't successful. They were hateful and they deliberately pretended not to notice his medical condition. They did not provide him with sufficient medical care.
I'm pleading with all the leaders. I plead for them to help my son be released and let him live with his children. It's okay if he has to die, but just let him live with his children and let us see him with our own eyes. They have not allowed me to visit him in prison. My son had been pursued for 5 or 6 years, but he remained steadfast. He lived in difficult conditions while he was being pursued.
وكانت قوات الاحتلال قد اعتقلت زيادات في 15 من شباط عام 2006.
The Israeli occupation forces arrested Ziyadat on February 15, 2006, after pursuing him for 4 years. They issued a 12-year prison sentence against him on the grounds of participation in the occupation's resistance.
وأب الأسرة من 18 فردا. وكانت مؤسساته وفعاليات الخليل.
His family is made up of 18 members. Hebron's civic organizations, the Palestinian Prisoners Association, and the Bini Naim Association have organized several sit-ins and demonstrations in the past few months, demanding that he be released, but to no avail.
ولكن دون جدوى.
I have a daughter and I swear she doesn't know her father except for in pictures. What kind of a person would let this happen? What kind of a human rights organization or religion would allow this to happen? What law deprives children of their father? Shouldn't they feel his presence? They're his family. The best treatment for sick people is to have their family around them. However, he has no one around him and he can't even talk to anyone. I swear, it's a tragedy and a shame.
I am Yusuf, the son of the hero Faiz Ziyadat. I call on President Abbas to help my father be released so he can receive medical treatment. We haven't seen him for 5 years, and I am 7 years old now.
Ziyadat is one of the dozens among hundreds of prisoners who suffer from chronic illnesses. They require immediate and urgent release so that they can be transferred to special hospitals in order to continue living.
The occupation's prison administration continues to practice repression and abuses the rights of prisoners. According to reports from the lawyers at the Political Prisoners Association, Faiz Ziyadat will live the last moments of his life with cancer in the occupation's prison. At present, there are 16 prisoners with cancer inside the occupation's prison, the most critical of which is the case of Faiz Ziyadat. There are 1,000 cases of prisoners in need of immediate surgery.
The family of Bini Naim has earned the right to be proud of its history, which is full of struggles for freedom. The sons of this family have been very generous, and this is one of the leading villages that has supported the revolution since its inception, and continues to do so today. Ziyadat is one of the political prisoners from Bini Naim, a village whose history is marked with armed resistance. From the home of Faiz Ziyadat, Salam Abu Saleh, Hebron.
مشهد بات مألوفا في كل شارع وحي ومنطقة في لبنان حيث اجتاحت.
On every street in Beirut, one can see pictures of Lebanese candidates with their election slogans. All these different and colorful billboards indicate that Lebanon will witness an intense summer, especially considering that there are only a few days left before the June 7th elections. Elian Shatri reports from Beirut.
Allah and his co-workers have been working in the billboard advertising industry for more than 3 years. Now they are going from street to street to replace old billboards with new ones. They have been doing this almost every day for the last month since the election campaigns began.
The elections make a big difference in our line of work. We now have to work overtime because there's a lot of work to be done. On ordinary days, we used to wait for up to 10 days to get a job. Now we have a lot of work. I wish there were always elections.
The smile on Allah's face reflects the smiles of the hundreds of people who work on billboards, including those who come up with ideas and those who execute them. The elections have revived the billboard market and eased the effects of the global financial crisis. Lebanese parties, movements, and political figures have spent huge sums of money on election billboards.
All of our billboards have ads for election candidates, especially in Beirut. This goes for other billboard companies too. One can't see a billboard in Beirut or other areas without an election-related theme. Of course, the billboard companies, the employees, and all those who work in this field have benefited.
إلا أن المساحة الإعلانية العادية المرخص لها لم تعد كافية لأحزاب لبنان السياسية ولا لتياراته.
There are not enough licensed billboards to accommodate the high number of Lebanese political parties and movements. This explains why one can now see the unlicensed billboards here and there, on buildings, rooftops, and balconies. Regardless of this mess, one can say that elections have helped the billboard business and business in general.
ولأن حمى الانتخابات قد تكون معدية فهي تركت بصماتها أيضا على
The elections have also affected the way in which businesses advertise. For example, this restaurant took advantage of people's interests in the elections by installing billboards urging Lebanese citizens not to vote on an empty stomach. Ilian Chatri, Dubai Television, Beirut.
Straight to Iran's June 12th presidential election. It is drawing closer, and television has become the media of choice for the hopeful candidates. One of them, Mir Hossein Mousavi, has offered more details on his plans. As the next president, he has covered numerous issues, ranging from freedom of the press to the nuclear energy program. Mousavi says freedom of the press plays the most critical role in the country's development. He also says the more developed the media, the more developed the nation can become. He says the freedom of the press has been outlined by the Constitution. Mousavi has, in further remarks, turned to the nuclear program. He says he supports Iran's decision to continue with its nuclear activities despite pressures from the West. But he has criticized the current government's methods in defending the nation's nuclear rights.
I have my own views regarding the nuclear program. I believe we did the right thing to defend our nuclear rights, but our policy towards the matter resulted in some diplomatic losses. These include the resolutions that the UN adopted against us in the course of West nuclear dispute with our country. I think we could have averted those resolutions, or at least could have lessened the costs.
Mousavi says, as president, his government would never give up the nation's rights to nuclear technology. He has emphasized that he would try to solve the dispute with the West through confidence building and easing of tensions. Well, presidential hopefuls Mehdi Karoubi and Mohsen Rezai have participated in a live televised debate. The candidates outlined their plans to run the nation, but they hardly crossed swords over their differences. Karoubi again described himself as the most qualified candidate for the post. He then talked about a range of issues, including the economy and civil rights. Karoubi began with his plan to distribute the oil revenues among Iranian citizens.
I will first complete the oil nationalization movement's aims by giving people shares of Iran's oil companies. After all the efforts by the oil nationalization movement, the government monopolized the oil industry in the 1950s, and it has been spending oil revenues ever since as it sees fit. Economists have advised the oil revenues should be fairly distributed among the public.
Iraqi refugees in Turkey suffer from difficult living conditions due to the high cost of living and the lack of job opportunities. They demand that the Iraqi government pay attention to their plight, just like their counterparts in neighboring Arab countries. We leave you with Sinan Adnan.
The living conditions of Iraqi refugees in Turkey differ from those living in neighboring Arab countries. These refugees are living abroad temporarily until it is safe to come back, or until their applications for political asylum in European countries are reviewed. 32-year-old Hussam is one of these Iraqi refugees. He moved to the Turkish city of Ghazi in Tab after he received many threats by armed groups. This compelled him to leave his work in the Iraqi civil
Defense Forces in 2007, and he has been waiting for a response to his application for a political asylum since then.
I do not think that I will ever return to Iraq because nothing is left for me there. Everything that I cared about ended in Iraq. My job is gone, my home is destroyed, and my car is gone. There is nothing in Iraq to return to. Life is extremely difficult for the Turks themselves. Can you imagine what life is like for the Iraqi refugees in Turkey? But at least the Iraqi refugees in Syria receive aid and a great deal of money from the Iraqi government. We get nothing. We really are wandering. Aren't the refugees in Turkey Iraqis too? They do not even talk about us. They always talk about the Iraqi refugees in Syria, Jordan, and Egypt.
I wish I had $100 so I could go back to Iraq.
This wish may be hard to achieve for this 31-year-old who also fled from Iraq to Turkey in 2006. Nothing could have prepared him for the difficult living conditions in Turkey. Now he is waiting for the opportunity to go back to Baghdad among many other refugees.
I work every day. I wash cars, but I only make 10 dinars. The situation is really bad in Turkey. We are not demanding a lot from the Iraqi government. We just want to be transported back to Iraq. We do not even care to fly. We want to save them money.
We do not have the financial means to visit the Iraqi embassy in Turkey, but my friends, however, did go to the Iraqi embassy and they did not benefit at all. The Iraqi embassy did not help them at all and it did not respond to them. Why aren't they helping us? We are refugees in Turkey. Why isn't the Iraqi government helping us go back to Iraq at least? The Iraqi government and the embassy should help us go back for free.
وتشير الدراسات إلى أن عدد اللاجئين العراقيين في تركيا يصل قرابة.
According to recent studies, there are 10,000 Iraqi refugees in Turkey. Turkish laws do not allow them to live in big cities except for a limited time. Therefore, more than 60% of Iraqi refugees live in small towns in the central and northern regions of the country. Iraqi refugees are waiting for the government to take the initiative and ease their suffering. They are also hoping that the Iraqi government treat them just like other Iraqi refugees in neighboring countries. From the Turkish city of Gaziantep, Sinana Adnan, Alsumaria.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.